Have we got a whole new Sauron's army here? Yes, we have.
But
we're about to learn something new that helps us with this.
Are we?
Yep. So a mechanic in this game we've not come across, so surely we must come across it pretty soon, and I know it's in this game, is the ability to turn Uruks to your side.
Oh, okay, cool.
Branding is a thing.
Branding, infamously not the real name of Anduril, Flame of the West.
Look at that. What a pro. He brought it back, and I was actually going to stay off camera for a little bit to actually just do some leveling up, but there we go. Now we're back.
Hello, viewership. Welcome back to our series on Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of Defying the Will of Tolkien. Because this has kind of gone off the deep end a little bit here with just making shit up now, but we're still having fun. We still respect the mechanics.
I mean, arguably, Tolkien was also making shit up, so...
Oh, he absolutely was making shit up, but like somehow when he makes it up, it's more meaningful. I don't know.
20% chance an area blast will happen around a charge bow headshot on Uruks or ghouls.
Oh, we want that. We
1 in 5 chance of a massive Absolutely. Explosive demise, yes.
1 in 5 chance of a massive explosion sounds like the mantra of a suicide bomber, but we will take it.
I thought you were going to say, like, that's the name of my sex tape or something like that. That's your usual, the class of humour we're used to dealing with here on The Infamous Gentleman.
Yeah, we do somewhat lower the tone sometimes. But anyway, viewership, back to the nice Tolkien chat. Doctor, how much do you know about Tolkien's personal life?
Beyond what you've told me, little.
So, this is one of the weird things, viewership. We can't remember how much we talked about this on
Before we continue, do we want to go down the dwarf or the elf route here? We got the dwarf claims to know the location of artifacts from Celebrimbor's past, or we have what does Queen Marwen know about the power of the wraith? That was the weird witchy woman from that cutscene. Which do we want to go?
Harakarukazad!
Yep, I thought so. Let's mark that, and over we go. Well, actually, I'm going to go there via various towers, because we need to want more towers in this area. Okay. But yes, that's the plan for now, it's just to work our way over there, getting some forge towers. On you go. Tolkien's personal life.
So, like, I wasn't aware of this, but like, he had a deep and abiding love for his wife, which is... It's actually very sweet. I have a lot of criticisms of Tolkien as a human being and as a writer, but his devotion to his other half is something that, like, I can't fault. It's just beautiful. So,
are there, like, Tolkien grandchildren kicking around? Because I know Christopher Tolkien died not that long ago, but did he have kids? Are there Tolkiens still?
I guess there must be, because the family, presumably somebody in the Tolkien estate, had to authorize the Amazon series.
Oh, that's the Saul Zaentz company, and that's a lot more complicated.
Oh, we'll maybe get into that later.
I don't know who they are exactly. I think, well, yeah. Right, what the fuck are we going to learn intel about? Right, where do we start?
Do we start at the top of the tree and work our way down?
Sure. Pick a number 1 to 5.
I choose number 3.
They all look the same, build-wise, literally every one of these Uruks, so...
I think they're just silhouettes, though. I think, like, if we pick one, they'll become more distinct.
Oh, we can't work out anything about the War Chiefs yet, so... pick a row and a column, so I guess 1 to 3 and then 1 to 7. Pick 2 numbers.
3, 7.
3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stakuga the Endless.
Oh.
Motive, irritated by all that jumping about. What the fuck does that mean?
Now, I don't want to keep bringing this back to professional wrestling, but you can't look at that guy and tell me you don't see John Cena. In any case, back to more wholesome topics, such as Tolkien's personal life. So, apparently, like, Tolkien met a girl when he was like a teenager, and like they hit it off. Like they were great friends, but like she was from a relatively well-to-do, wealthy family, and like they were actually separated and forbidden from speaking until he turned 18. So, Tolkien's parents were both dead by the time he was like in his early teens. Which is wild to me. Like, he's an actual orphan and still made
not super uncommon at the time, though.
I mean, it wasn't a great war thing. I think it was just, you know, their health failed, they expired.
Yeah, I didn't mean war specifically. I just meant literally at that time. That would not be. Okay, it wouldn't be common, but it wouldn't be wild either.
No, I guess like, you know, illnesses and like fatal illnesses and
consumption and whatnot.
Yeah. In any case, he was actually raised...
Right, so I think genuinely, right, I can't remember who it was, but someone in Tolkien's family, possibly one of his parents, died from consumption, which is tuberculosis. And the reason I know this is I had to write a report in year 8 at school on Tolkien, and like his biography, and I remember absolutely nothing about that other than someone died of consumption, and I thought consumption just meant like eating, so I had no idea what the fuck that meant. And I remember that Tolkien was born in a place called Edgbaston outside of Birmingham, which is, I later learned, was where my mum bought her first house.
Oh, that's a cool cemetery. I think
she was one street outside of Birmingham, like the city of Birmingham as it stood at the time, which meant the house was like a fraction of the price it should have been, because she was literally just outside of the city limits and was just into Edgbaston.
Oh, I think it may have been Tolkien's mother who died of consumption. I think
that sounds about right from what I recall, yeah. Oh, hello, lads.
I'm pretty sure, like, I would need to look it up to be sure, but I'm pretty sure she died of, like, a wasting illness or confinement.
I mean, yeah, that's why they call it consumption, because it consumes you. But, like, I understood that as, like, she died from eating too much? That seems a weird death for, like, the 1890s.
Dying of consumption is a very Victorian way to die.
Exactly, yeah.
See also, like, the poet Keats. But anyway, like, both of his parents were dead by the time he was, like, barely into his teens. And he was placed in the charge of his mum's priest. So, like, he was raised by a Catholic priest.
I'm guessing that was probably surprisingly normal. To say that sounds like... Can you imagine that today? Like, your parents are dead. Here you go, young boy. You're going to grow up with the priest now. Yeah, anyway.
Now, to be fair, it seems like this priest, like, as much as he was obviously deeply devoted to his Catholic faith, was a very moral and very righteous man.
I mean, I'd go as far to say most probably are. It's just they're not the ones you hear about on the news.
The stereotype, yeah. We'll try not to focus too much. Well, maybe we will later on, because we've got some sex stuff in Lord of the Rings to come up as well. But bottom line, this priest did a good job of raising him. He funded Tolkien's education, but there was a girl that Tolkien hit it off with when he was like in his mid-teens.
Girls? That's the devil's work.
Well, that's exactly what the priest told him. He was like, "So
I'd make a great priest. I wouldn't. That's absolutely not true.
You'd be a terrible priest
for many reasons."
But this priest, the man who raised Tolkien, said, like, "I forbid you to have anything to do with this girl until you're 18," which is not great. Like teenagers should just go out there and make mistakes and do what they're going to do. But,
and they're probably going to do that anyway, regardless of what the priest officially tells them to do, I reckon.
Yeah, but Tolkien respected the man's wishes, to be fair. Like, he obviously had deep and abiding affection for his guardian. I think he spoke in his autobiography, or people have spoken in his biographies, that like they genuinely seemed to have a good relationship. So like, it's not like he was oppressed as such. Like, he respected this man's judgment and he abided by it. So like, on the eve of his 18th birthday, like having not seen her for several years, Tolkien wrote this girl a letter. So like, as he's like 17 and 364 days, he sits down at his desk to write her a letter.
That's also on brand.
Yeah, on his 18th birthday, he sends it to her. Now, at the time, she was already engaged to another man, but she receives J.R.R's letter and she leaves the other guy to be with Tolkien.
Nice.
Which is, it's a profound love story. It's lovely, really, because Tolkien had no prospects at this point. I think he was maybe an undergraduate at Oxford or whatever the hell he was studying. So like, his only real prospect, in Tolkien's own words, was that he was going to die in the trenches. That was the only thing he had to look forward to. Because,
cool.
You know,
that's fun. We did so right by that generation of young men. It's great. It's great.
It's absolutely terrible. How he actually speaks himself, and we'll talk about it maybe later on. Like how much scholarship was just snuffed out by the Great War.
It turns out, a lot of things are snuffed out by losing 25% of your adult male population. Who knew?
Yeah, it's really, really bad. And we've talked about like the terrifying power of machine guns earlier in this series. But regardless,
do you know, right, on a much lighter note and related, do you know about Tolkien's like schoolboy nickname that he came up for himself? That his like not pen name, but his name he came up for himself for. So he used to sign his name as, so obviously he's J.R.R. Tolkien, John Ronald Rule Tolkien, and he used to sign his name as J.R. squared T. So it'd be like J.R. with a little 2 above it and then T. Which he specified was to be pronounced as if it rhymed with dirt. So his nickname was Jert for J.R.R.T.
That's weird, but it doesn't surprise me about Tolkien. He's very explicit. Like, one of the interviews I watched with him, like, apparently he played around with and tried to write languages from the age of about 13 onwards.
That sounds about right as well.
It makes a lot of sense, really.
Oh god, that guy's got the eyes of a killer. Christ.
Douche, the thunder. Douche. Oh, brilliant.
Anyway.
back to more wholesome topics. So, like, Tolkien and his relationship with the woman who would ultimately become his wife. Cutscene. The sprite hates when we talk over cutscenes.
Oh yeah. Let's hold off this. We're watching some butchery here. Go afoot.
This is like the Tyrant Lannister
Also, right,
scene.
this dwarf looks like someone, and I can't place who it is. Like a human person.
Like Ray, he looks a bit like Ray Winston to me.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. I'm expecting him to be more Cockney than he is, certainly.
This is very much like, you know, the scene in like Game of Thrones where Tywin Lannister butchers a deer. Which apparently Charles Dance actually learned to do for the scene.
That's believable. Oh, and of course dwarves are Scottish for a change. Mix things up a bit.
What are you trying to say?
I love how you dial up a Scottish accent. You don't even need to. You have one of those accents. You're still like, aye, pal. It suddenly comes out.
I feel
Have
like
you ever hunted a grouse?
we're not gonna fight one of these like rancor beasts, are we? One of these like purely nonsense rancor beasts.
We are absolutely gonna do that. The largest graug in Motherwell.
No, you simmer down. we talk about my Scottishness way too much in this series. I'm not going to dwell on it.
That's because English is the default, and you're the weird adjustment to that rule. So you know you're the odd one.
I'm proud to be Scottish. I'll happily say it. But this guy's playing into all the stereotypes. Although I like his tattoos.
I also enjoy, I'm trained very well, so was my dog before she got eaten. That's a great comeback.
We're not going to line up and have someone play with our lives. It's about instinct.
So why does he want us to hunt this Graug?
Because it's about instinct and guts.
As you can see, I know a thing or two.
Why do we need this guy?
Unclear. Oh, he knows something about, he's holding on to artifacts that are linked to Celebrimbor's past, so Talion's like, this guy's a waste of time, but Celebrimbor's like, I must know what the fuck my deal is. Basically.
Okay, fair enough, I suppose.
Its own beast, one you must learn to tame.
Well, there we go. That's cool.
Also, he's not that short for a dwarf. He's only slightly shorter than Talion.
Yeah, that's
a dangerous hunt.
Weird.
Beasts will not be impressed by your rank. All flesh tastes the
same. Oh, so we're gonna ride Caragors with him. Okay, this is kind of cool.
That's fine. Yeah.
A side quest go, it's all right. Anyway, can I get back to Tolkien's nice, wholesome personal
You can.
life?
Well, I mean, this is arguably still a cutscene. It's just a cutscene I have to hold forwards on.
Yeah, I hate it when games do this. Actually,
dude. At least this one does the thing of like, if he suddenly breaks into a run, we do too, and vice versa. It's not one of these things where it's like, oh, you have to walk alongside him, and also he's walking slower than your run speed, but faster than your walk speed.
Yeah,
that's the worst. Especially as someone who normally plays on PC where you don't have a stick.
Yeah. In any case, Tolkien...
But yes, you can probably go into the story without risking the sprite's wrath now.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Sprite. Thank you, viewership. But Tolkien is beloved, so he actually does make it back from the Great War. He's wounded. Like,
really? I thought he died in the Great War and we never got Lord of the Rings.
No, but like people make a big deal about the fact that, you know, Tolkien served in the Great War, and like I want to make very clear that he wasn't doing like a pencil pushing job. He wasn't behind.
Oh yeah, no, he was in. Yeah, I was. Sorry to slightly overshadow your story briefly, but I was looking earlier at a interview with Christopher Tolkien when he talks about how the difference in tone between Tolkien's notebooks generally and those that were made literally physically in the trenches.
Yeah.
That some of his early drafts form what he calls, is it the Book of Lost Tales or something like that?
Unfinished Tales.
No, it's not Unfinished Tales. It's because he
okay.
finished them. It's like it's something like the Book of Lost Tales, which is basically his early drafts for the Silmarillion that he literally wrote in the trenches.
Oh wow!
And they're much more like, tonally they're much more like Lord of the Rings than the Silmarillion. They are like a slightly more zoomed in his track of events rather than like the textbook that the Silmarillion ends up feeling like.
But of course, like, there's no relationship between like the Great War or any kind of warfare in the 20th century and the writing of Lord of the Rings, according to J.R.R., which we all know is nonsense. But anyway, he maintained that. But that's kind of cool. I certainly didn't know that.
Try that again.
You're not getting a Caragor on your first try. Well, certainly not now that you're dead.
Fortunately, I don't know if this guy knows we're immortal, but he's about to learn.
Aggressive. Don't even try.
Anyway, so Tolkien, like, I made a flippant comment a couple minutes ago where I said, like, you know, he wasn't a pencil pusher. I mean, like, obviously anyone who undertakes national service is doing good work or necessary work, and like that's not to diminish people who do stay behind the lines and do logistics or like cooking or like driving or whatever other necessary military roles they've got to fulfill. But Tolkien was like front line. He was like in the trenches, literally. He comes back from the war, he is wounded, like quite severely, and he recovers in England, and he gets to go back to his young wife, and he is absolutely devoted to her for the rest of their life together.
Yeah, so which, fair play.
Yeah, apparently like he left Oxford in the latter part of their life, so when they were both elderly, like he left Oxford so that she could be near the sea, and like it just seems like he was, for the whole of his life, utterly devoted to this woman, which is really lovely. So much so that on their tombstones, I don't know where they're buried, but like if you go and visit their gravesites, on her grave she is marked as Luthien, and on his he's Beren.
That's nice.
Nice. Clearly, as far as he was concerned, like all the great romances of Lord of the Rings kind of stem from his own great romance, which I just think that's sweet.
And I guess his origin with his wife is probably why he has a whole thing for forbidden romances. Not that that isn't already a thing in media. But definitely, you know, Beren and Luthien, Arwen and Aragorn are both ones where definitely the bride-to-be's father came in and was like, you can't marry this man. So,
yeah,
not unlike his own story, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, you know what, good for Tolkien, good for these guys for, like, any marriage that lasts that long and produces that many children who are all happy and successful, like, power to them right off the bat. But like particularly because like this was the basis for lots of the cool things in his own work.
Because they had other children than Christopher, didn't they? He's the one who took on the mantle of sorting out his shit.
Yeah, exactly. He's the one that we know about because we're nerds. But like they had other kids.
Yeah.
And I just think it's nice and cool that. I don't know, like not only was he a great literary scholar and like wrote all of this nonsense, but like he was a devoted and loving husband as well.
Yeah. Back to a gameplay note. Have you ever played a game called Darksiders?
No, it's about the Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Yeah. Right? So at about it's about halfway through the game, so it's slightly earlier than this. It suddenly has what is a very similar moment to this, where suddenly you come across a Scottish man. I suddenly realised that's what this guy reminds me of. He reminds me of a character in Darksiders who physically looks like him, is Scottish, and shows you how to like ride a creature in combat, and then the next thing you do is like have a hunting competition against him where you get an achievement if you hunt more things than him in that time period. So I'm having weird ass flashbacks to that.
Is he singing in Dwarvish?
No, he's singing in English. Sorry,
okay.
common.
It'd be cooler.
I can't imagine that Kuzdal singing is particularly kind to the ears.
I love how Dwarvish sounds though, like the bridge Khazad-dûm, which is such a cool word. I've got like later on, Doctor, I will read you like the earliest draft that Tolkien puts together for the Bridge of Khazad-dûm scene, which is dynamite.
I mean, we have kind of talked about that with Gandalf blowing shit up, but.
Oh no! Like I've got the first time like we ever see a Balrog to read to you, which is really cool. But we'll get to
he doesn't. We don't get a lot on the Balrog. Let's be honest.
That's
why you get shit like weird lion bloke with whip in the animated Lord of the Rings and whatnot.
Yeah, the 1978 Balrog is not great. Apparently, the initial plan for that scene, like Tolkien knew as early as like 1938. So only like 18 months after he started writing Lord of the Rings, he knew that Gandalf was going to fall. I mean, he didn't necessarily know where, but he knew that Gandalf was going to go away for a bit, and that he would come back. And initially, he conceived that there would be a fight on a bridge, and that his opponent wouldn't be the Balrog of Morgoth; it would be one of the Nazgûl.
That makes sense. I guess I can see how that split into Khazad-dûm and the whole Ford scene with Glorfindel, frankly, but with Arwen.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of cool if I can picture like a black rider on one side and like the grey rider on the other, facing one another down across a bridge. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but like I can see narratively why that's like a fun idea to explore.
Yeah, and Gandalf's arc is an absolutely classic one in a lot of mythology, especially the Norse stuff that Tolkien liked to draw from, of the kind of the hero who dies and comes back. It's actually, interestingly, that is basically one of the main ways in which Christianity was pitched to the Norsemen. Was Jesus as basically a warrior hero who dies and comes back to keep fighting for what he believes in.
Yeah, I was going to say like the strong Christ-like overtones there, like where
that is
dies
actively how early Christianity was pitched to the Norsemen, and they fucking loved it.
I mean, particularly given that, like, we know explicitly Tolkien was a devout Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
Gandalf is basically an angel within Tolkien's own cosmology.
Yeah.
It writes itself, right? You don't need the Doctor and I to explain this to you. Like, Gandalf is Jesus, guys.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, it's not quite as on the nose as Aslan, but it's there.
Well, like, I don't know if we talked about this earlier, but C.S. Lewis was allegedly, so the guy who wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and its many inferior sequels,
Was atheist.
Well, he was, yeah, but
Well, not as... Yeah.
Tolkien takes credit for converting him.
Yeah.
Which is... C.S. Lewis might have denied this himself, but Tolkien claims that as a consequence of their friendship, C.S. Lewis converted to Christianity, and Tolkien was mortified when C.S. Lewis became an Anglican, a devotee of like the English church rather than a Roman Catholic. But there are strong parallels between, hey, there's a powerful figure who dies against a great evil and then comes back stronger than before, like see Aslan, see Jesus, see Gandalf.
Yeah. See, you know... Go to him, Talion. I feel like there are many good examples in Norse mythology that I just can't get to straight away. My head's like, Siegfried, say Siegfried. It's like, no, Siegfried just full on dies.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast recently where like there was great exploration of the works of, and I hesitate to use his name because it's a divisive term on the internet. You ever heard of a guy called Jordan Peterson, Doctor?
I have.
Basically, the whole fundamental thing of his work is that morality is based on mythology. Mythology like the story of Aslan, Jesus, Thor, etc., etc. Like, he says a lot of things that are bullshit, but something that he says that actually does ring true to me, this boy, Jordan Peterson, is that, yeah, like, there's a strong narrative tradition of the male figure sacrifices something and comes back stronger for the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that's all we'll say about Jordan Peterson.
I was going to say, that's probably the least controversial thing he's ever been associated with, and we'll probably leave it there for exactly that reason.
Yeah, let's not get into that. We'll maybe talk about him more in another video, but that is not this tale. Yeah. That's not this tale or this time.
Would you fuck off, mate?
You better be talking to that orc, or you can do this series alone.
Yeah. I was, don't worry.
Caragors have to do with killing Grogs.
What indeed, Talion?
Oh, it's a mystery is what it is.
You are testing my patience, Torvin.
Pay attention. Learn to respect the beast. Gonna need size and strength to fight the mighty Grog. Remember, hunt. Respect is earned. Who knows? He'll even call you sir, eh?
I'm getting strong Red Dead Redemption vibes, not in a great way.
Right, so... I don't know if you know this or if you can look this up.
Far from home.
Where did the dwarf Scottish thing originate?
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know that.
It's such a pervasive thing. But something must have done it first. Is it just the fact that they're bearded, stout fighting men? None of which you are, of course, but...
I'm quite the opposite of that, actually.
Yeah, you're tall and lanky and like me, you can't grow a fucking beard to save your life.
Yeah, I'm tall, lanky, like I'm a runner, not a fighter, and like yeah.
More of a lover, you consider yourself, yeah.
Oh, well, I wouldn't even consider myself that effective. If I had to hazard a guess, it would be that I don't know.
Is it Americans getting confused about Vikings are from the north of somewhere? That'll do.
Well, there's an overlap between Viking culture and Scottish culture.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
like lots of Vikings did come and settle in Scotland, and like there were various wars that were fought between Vikings and Scots, and I can kind of see there's maybe a through line there, but I don't want to say that's the right answer. I will look it up though.
Well, you can look it up now while we take a brief loo break.
Viewership, we're going to take a break, but obviously we love you, we think you're the best. Post up in the comments, tell us what you're enjoying, like, share, subscribe, but ultimately, have a good night.
Inscribing a third room. Now it says CDC on our sword. Our sword is the Center for Disease Control. And I have a rune that makes us immune to poison, so, you know, it's perfect. Look at that. There we go. And on that shit joke, we'll hold it there.